Hello, and welcome to another episode of SEC Clash. I'm your host, Justin Johnson, where we talk about SEC football, where I give my games, stats, and some of my own personal rankings. For today, I'm going to be talking about what I think is the most important games for these SEC teams. I'm going to start off going with Missouri versus South Carolina. Now, with them going into this, they should be 3-0 going into this game. Missouri averages 28.9 points per game. They allowed 20 points per game. That's 20 nationally. Total offense had 5,064 yards. Their defense allowed 4,128 yards. Offense was 92% in the red zone. They had 43 touchdowns. They're returning 60% of their overall production. That's ninth in the SEC. They went 10-2, including Iowa in the Music City Bowl, and they went 5-3 in SEC play, losing to South Carolina last year in a close one, 34-30. Now, with Missouri coming back and what they've got this year, coming back with a new quarterback, you don't have Brady Cook, you don't have, your talented receivers that you had last year. I think this game is going to really show where they are at. There's a lot of things they're going to have to work on to get to this. They should be 3-0 going into this, but if you win this, you start out the year 4-0, and Eli Drinkwitz has really done good with this team. They went, they 10-win seasons. They're, the fan base is now used to that. But now I think the fan base is like, okay, can we push it to the college football playoffs? And I think they can do it. It's going to be a lot to do. Also losing Luther Burton, that took a toll. So the question is, can this team still do what they did last year? Next, I'm going to move Florida versus Texas A&M. They went 8-5 overall. They were 4-4 in SEC play. Beat Tulane in their bowl game. They had 28 points per game. The defense allowed 23, average about 23 points per game. Total offense was 5,030 yards. The red zone efficiency for the offense was 86%. The defense was 72% in the red zone. Florida was able to put down LSU Tigers last year. It was 27-16. I think that was their best game. And I know they're hoping they can keep DJ Lagway healthy, like I said in my last episode, so they can keep doing what they need to do. Florida lost to Texas A&M last year, 33-20, and I think this game right here could show how ready they are. Florida has come a long way. Texas A&M is going to be a really strong team, especially with Marcel Reed. I think he's a great quarterback, but I think DJ Lagway is a really good quarterback. I think this is going to be a quarterback versus quarterback battle. It's going to be a great game, and I think Florida can do better than they did last year. They didn't start off, so hot, but like I said, they do have a gauntlet of a schedule, and with this team and the schedule they have, going 9-3, you have to put them in, as I've said before. And this is something that is going to be really challenging for them, this gauntlet they have in front of them. But I think Florida can pull it off with the talent they have. Next, we're going to move to Vanderbilt versus South Carolina. I know I put South Carolina in here again. But the reason I did Vanderbilt versus South Carolina is because the only lopsided game Vanderbilt got beat in was against South Carolina. And they lost 28-7. Now, Vanderbilt went 6-7 overall. They were 3-5 in SEC, pulling a huge upset against Alabama. Was their first victory over a number one team, and their first victory in the top 5. It was their first winning season since 2013. They had 27 points per game. They averaged about that. Their defense allowed about 23 points per game. Their total offense was 4,139 yards, and their defense allowed 4,894 yards. And they beat Georgia Tech in their bowl game. Like I said, the reason I put South Carolina for them is because this was the biggest lopsided game. So can they turn that around? Vanderbilt has come a long way. They've done a lot. With Diego Pavia back there, he's already talking smack, saying how he's going to run the whole state of Tennessee. Okay, we'll have to see. First, you got to beat Tennessee, which you did not do last year. But we'll see how they put up. Like I said, Vanderbilt has the number one returning production in the SEC. So a lot of talent is coming back, and that's really good for them. Next, we're going to go Georgia versus Alabama. Georgia went 11-3 last year, 6-2 in SEC play, crowned the SEC champs. They lost to Notre Dame in the playoffs, 23-10. They put up 31 points average about a game. They allowed 20 points per 20 game. Total offense was 5,676. Defense allowed 4,618. Offense was 90% effective in the red zone. Defense was 81% in the red zone. They had a lot of drop balls last year. Now with Carson back, now going to Miami, it's Gunnar Stockton. And now the question is he going to be able to lead this team and do what they did last year, or even better, win a national championship? They played Alabama last year, losing 34-41. The reason I put Alabama is because they are 1-6 against Alabama. I know a lot of people thought since, Nick Saban was gone, they're like, well, Nick Saban's gone, easy pickings for Georgia. Well, that didn't seem to be the case. Kalen DeVore had something a little bit up his sleeve, and he really showed what Alabama could do. And sometimes Alabama didn't do so great, but Georgia is still, I think, the top team in the SEC. And Kirby Smart is still the top coach in the SEC. There's no doubt about that. There's nobody I think that's better than them. I have them the best in the SEC. Kirby has been able to do great things and take this program and make it into a championship contender winning machine. So we're going to see how they can do next year, but that I think is going to be their most important game. Next, we're going to move to Mississippi State versus Arizona State. This is Mississippi State's first game. Of course, I got to go with Arizona State, who did really well last year. Mississippi State, they went 2-10 last year. They averaged 25.5 points a game. Their total offense was 4,526. Their defense allowed 5,477. They were 80% in the red zone. Their offense was 80% in the red zone. Defense was 86% in the red zone. They fumbled the ball 10 times. They had 20 turnovers. Offense was 91 in the nation. Defense was 121st. They had no SEC wins. Arizona State, they went 11-3. They went to the playoffs, losing to Texas 39-31. Last year, Arizona beat Mississippi State 30-23. It was pretty close. But this, I think, is going to be the setting tone to see if Mississippi State's gotten better. Mississippi State should go in here and beat this team. Should be a better team this year. I think they can do it. Blake Shapen back there, I think he's a good quarterback. I think there's a lot of things they can really do good. They had a terrible season, but like I said, they're still trying to fix things down there with him coming. And, it was just, it's in his early years. So I think next year, I wouldn't say expect a playoff run, but I would at least expect a winning season if I was a Mississippi State fan. Um, so next, we're going to move to Auburn versus Baylor. Auburn, they went 5-7. They were 2-6 in SEC play. Ugh. Averaged 27 points a game. Their defense allowed around 21 points a game. Offense was 38th in the nation, and their defense was 30th in points allowed. Offense in the red zone was 78%. Defense was 78% in the red zone. Hugh Freeze hasn't had the best time here at Auburn. I think he's had the talent, and it just seems like it's not getting any better down there. It seems like he's not doing great in the recruiting. He's just out there golfing, not giving a care. He's got to pick something up, or he's going to be gone. He needs to pick something up, or he's going to be on the hot seat. This guy right here is something else, especially with playing Arkansas last year, saying if we play that team 9 more times, we beat them 9 more times. Who says that? You got to win the games that are put there in front of you. Go ahead and win it. That way you ain't got to play them. And prove that you beat them. You're going to beat them next time. I don't know how much I believe in this coach. He's got the talent. Like I said, I think they got the best receiver core in the SEC. He went and picked up Jackson Arnold. After that, had Peyton Thorne last year, who was just, I don't know what happened there. He could have went after Diego Pavia before getting Peyton Thorne, but he said he was going to develop Peyton Thorne. And we see how that turned out. So we'll see, Baylor went 8-5 last year. They're going to be a good team. They're going to be tough. Baylor's not going to give up without a fight. And I think this game right here is going to set the tone for Auburn. Next, we're going to go Tennessee versus Florida. Now, with Tennessee versus Florida, the reason why I put Florida, it seems like Tennessee always has a problem with Florida. It was close last year. The year before that, Florida won. And you think Tennessee going in this team that they would just put Florida out. But Florida is now a better team than what we see, So Tennessee, they went 10-3, went 6-2 in SEC play. They ended the year 9th, lost to Ohio State in the playoffs, 42-17. They averaged 39 points a game. Total yards was 3,315. Their defense allowed 2,993 yards. Offense was 82% in the red zone. Defense was 72% in the red zone. Tennessee, I think they're still going to be good. They do have a new quarterback. And people are like, well, I don't know if he's as good as Nico. I don't think Nico was all that great. I don't think the guy could hit the deep pass. I'm an Alabama fan, and I was watching him in the Alabama game, and he could have had 3 or 4 more touchdowns if he hit the deep pass. So I think Joey Aguilar could be just as good, if not better, than Nico. I think the way Nico left Tennessee was wrong. And everybody says, well, he had a lot of people talking in his ear. Well, he can make up his own mind and do what he wants to do. Give credit to Josh Heupel to going, you know what, we'll find somebody else. And, I think they'll be better off. I really do. Next, I got Arkansas versus Ole Miss. Arkansas averaged 30 points a game. Total offense was 5,973 yards. Defense allowed 4,889 yards. Offense was 85% in the red zone. Defense was 80% in the red zone. They went 7-6 last year, 3-5 in SEC play. They lost to Ole Miss 63-31 last year. Goodness gracious. But they did pull off an upset on Tennessee, beating Tennessee 19-14. I think Arkansas's got a lot to prove next year. I think they just got to fix that line, and defense has got to be a whole lot better. Um, I have faith in Sam Pittman. I think Sam Pittman. I still have hope for Sam Pittman, but if he starts the year off like this, he's going to be on the hot seat. He's going to be. It's going to be bad. Which I like Sam Pittman, but he's got to start having winning seasons. You know, you got at least better seasons. Arkansas fans want to be in the playoffs. Every fan does. But I know Arkansas fans are sick and tired of expecting, well, maybe we'll just at least have a winning season this year. No, they want to go, well, look at that. We made it to the playoffs. But we'll see how things pan up for them. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. We'll see how things go. Next, I got Kentucky at Toledo. I know. People are like, why did you put Toledo? Kentucky's going to crush Toledo. Well, Mississippi State got hammered by Toledo last year, 41-17, and Kentucky wasn't much better than Mississippi State. They were both. Mississippi State and Kentucky were at the bottom of the SEC last year. That's gonna, and so I'm gonna say Toledo. I know that's a stretch, but hey, I got to be able to see what you can do. Kentucky went 4-8 last year, 1-7 in SEC play. Offense put about 20 points up per game. Defense allowed about 22 points per game. Offense had 3,965 yards. The defense allowed 4,146 yards. Offense was 79% in the red zone. Defense was 70%. And, they got a new quarterback. With Zach Calzada coming in. But you got to show me something. And yes, against Toledo. So, yeah, I'm putting Toledo there, and I think that's going to be the game for them. That's going to show you, hey, is Kentucky there or not? So now we're going to move on. LSU versus Clemson. The last time they played each other was in 2020 for the national championship. LSU winning 42-25, but that was with Coach O. They went 9-4 last season, 5-3 in SEC play. Offense had averaged about 30 points a game. Defense allowed about 24 points a game. Total offense was 5,610 yards. Their defense allowed 4,737 yards. They were 83%. Offense was 83% in the red zone, and the defense was 75% in the red zone. They beat Baylor in the bowl game 44-31. Look, it's just they got to fix their defense. Brian Kelly has yet to win a season opener, and that's why I put Clemson, because this is their season opener. Can they finally win a season opener to start the year off good? I know LSU fans are tired of losing the season opener. Go out there and beat Clemson. Show that you can compete. You had an okay season last year, but then you go and play Alabama, and your defense lets Jalen Milroe run all over you. You can't let that happen. That defense has got to, like I said, Brian Kelly, I think he's got great offense, but his defense ain't there. And he's going to have to fix that if he wants to see something better come out of this team this year. Next, I'm going to move Oklahoma versus Michigan. These teams have not faced off since 1976. Oklahoma winning 14-6 for a national championship. They haven't played in almost 50 years. That is a long time. Oklahoma went 6-7 last year, 2-6 in SEC play, with a big win over Alabama, keeping Alabama out of the playoffs. Offense averaged about 24 points a game. Defense allowed around 21 points a game. Total offense was 4,303 yards. Defense allowed 4,137 yards. Offense was 82% in the red zone, and defense was 84% in the red zone. Oklahoma's defense was great last year, but their offense wasn't there. Explaining why the offensive coordinator got fired through the season. So now they got a new offensive coordinator. They got a new quarterback. Jackson Arnold, now at Auburn, running for his life last year. Maybe it won't be like that now with John Mateer. But we'll have to see how this goes. These teams haven't played in a very long time. And I guess they're going to come back and go at it again after that national championship in 1976. Wow. Next, we're going to go to Ole Miss versus Kentucky. Kentucky had a big win over Ole Miss last year, winning 20-17. Ole Miss, they went 10-3 last year, 5-3 in SEC play. They averaged 38 points a game. That's 38 in the nation. Defense averaged allowing 14 points a game. That's second in the nation. Total offense was 6,846 yards. Defense allowed 4,046 yards. They won their bowl game against Duke 52-20, just squashing that right out. Their offense was 80% in the red zone. Their defense was 69% in the red zone. Lane Kiffin, I think he's done really good. He hasn't made it to the playoffs yet, and I know that's what he's shooting for, and I know every Ole Miss fan, that's what they want. They want to finally, they've just been out of it every year. But now with a 12-team playoff, you should be able to get in. You didn't make it last year. You lost late and got kept out of it. You need to pull it together and just make it this year. I think Ole Miss could have done really good in the playoffs. They're a really tough team, while even beating Georgia. So, I think this team has a lot to prove. It's going to be interesting, and I think Ole Miss, they have the least amount returning. Is it going to matter that much? I have no idea. I don't think it will. I don't think it's going to matter. I think Lane Kiffin's going to do fine. I know he's got talent back there. So we'll have to see how that goes for them. Next, I got South Carolina versus LSU. I'm sure they want some payback after that LSU win last year, which a lot of people say LSU shouldn't have won that game. There was some controversial stuff on that. Losing to LSU last year, 36-33. That was a tight game. That was a good game. I remember watching that game. Just some things people say shouldn't have went the way it should have went. South Carolina went 9-4 last year. They went 5-3 in SEC play. Their offense had averaged about 31 points a game. Defense allowed about 17 points per game. Total offense was 5,314 yards. Defense allowed 4,116 yards. Offense was 78% in the red zone, and defense was 80% in the red zone. Now, South Carolina, I think they can do really good, especially with Lenore Sellers back there as quarterback, versus LSU with Garrett Nussmeier That's a gunslinger versus a mobile quarterback. That is going to be a game. But here's the thing that we saw last year. As I said before, LSU had a problem with running quarterbacks last year. So will they be able to take on South Carolina with a rushing quarterback like that? They couldn't do it last year. So Brian Kelly is going to have to fix it up. I think South Carolina is going to be pretty good. I think they could make the playoffs. They almost made it last year. They almost did. A lot of people were saying, hey, they should be, if Alabama got in, they saying that South Carolina should have got in over them. And, that's probably true. I think that's true. They had it, they did really good last year. Just kept out. Just lost that last game that kept them out. But I think South Carolina's going to be a really tough team. I think Shane Beamer has done really good down there, and I think he can just make it even better. Next, I got Texas A&M versus Notre Dame. Last year, these two teams met. Notre Dame coming out with a win, 23-13. Texas A&M went 8-5 last year. They were 5-3 in SEC play. Their total offense of yards was 5,283 yards. Their defense allowed 4,775 yards. Offense averaged around 30 points per game. Defense allowed around 18 points a game. Offense in the red zone was about 95%. Defense was about 86%. They lost their bowl game to USC 35-31 in a close one. Now, if you're Texas A&M and you want to come out of this year proving something, go beat Notre Dame. Beat them. Beat Notre Dame. I think you got the quarterback to do it. I like Marcel Reed. I think Elko has got him a good quarterback. I think you can put down Notre Dame. I think you're getting this team back up right. So go out there, put down Notre Dame, and win this game. And that's how you're going to show people we're back. Texas A&M is back. And I know fans will be ecstatic if they whoop Notre Dame. I know I'll be. And I'm not even a Texas A&M fan, but I'd like to see Notre Dame go down any day of the week. Next, I'm going to go Alabama versus Florida State. The last time these teams played was in 2017 in a season opener just like this, with Alabama winning 24-7. They will be searching for the same result, but now Nick Saban is gone, and now they got Kalen DeVore. Alabama went 9-4 last year. They went 5-3 in SEC play. They lost in the Iron Bowl to Michigan, 19-13. Ugh. The offense had about 33 points per game. The defense allowed about 17 points per game. Total offense was 5,333 yards. Defense allowed 4,161 yards. Offense was 85% in the red zone, and defense was 76% in the red zone. Now, the reason why Florida State, a lot of people are like, why do you have Florida State? Florida State was terrible last year. Florida State is a tough team. And the way that I see it, being as an Alabama fan, Alabama has to go in here and dominate in order for some of these fans out here that's already saying Alabama's down, in order for them to be quiet. Because if Alabama goes in here and struggles to a team that went 2-10 last year, never going to hear the end of it. If Alabama goes in here and loses to Florida State, oh my Lord, it's going to be terrible. And like I said, I think the reason I put Florida State is because I know Florida State had a bad game, had a bad year last year. Year before that, they were great. So, I'm a little nervous about this game. I'm sure every Alabama fan is. I don't care what their schedule was last year, how their overall was. I think This game might be a little scary. You already got their quarterback coming out talking trash saying they ain't got Nick Saban no more. I don't think they're just going to be able to stop me. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if you can back that up. We really will. All right. For the last game, I got Texas versus Ohio State. These teams are having a rematch, playing in the national championship last year, with Ohio State winning 28-14. But Texas is looking to change that this year. Texas, they went 13-3 last year. They were 7-1 in SEC play. Offense put about 33 points up a game. Defense allowed about 15 points a game. The total offensive yardage was 7,000 yards. Defense allowed around 4,534 yards. Offense was 79% in the red zone, and defense was 67% in the red zone. And, they played in the SEC championship and could not beat Georgia. They could not beat Georgia, which, Carson Beck getting hurt in, the Georgia game, and, had Gunnar Stockton to come in and still finish out that game. I know Texas is got a great team this year, and everybody is crazy about Arch Manning coming in here. I'm not, but I think it's going to be interesting. They have a great team, and they got a great coach, Sarkisian. This is going to be. I think they're going to have another great season if everybody can do what they need to, but. Coming in here and getting a win over Ohio State at the beginning of the year, the national champs that you lost to last year, you get redemption. I think that's what Texas is looking for too. If I'm a Texas fan, I'm ready for this game. Well, that's it. You can find me on Spotify, I'm on X, I'm on Instagram, and YouTube. If you have any advice or anything you would like to say, anything that I could do to make the show better, the sound, I'm new to this. Drop it in the comments. I'll read them, I promise. And tell me, what do you think is the biggest SEC game this coming up season? Thank you for watching SEC Clash.